do you feel like you chose the right career path as a designer?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like I could do any other thing that I've wanted to do. But at this point in time, at this stage in my career, I feel like, I always say I'm really glad I got into design. I'm really happy that I was introduced into design when I was like a lot of things going on in my career. I'm always like, thank God I got into design. And then the fact that I have to work on a product and know that someone is like somewhere using it and saying, thank God that there's an app to do this, or thank God there's a website to do this. It just makes me feel really happy. I'm actually really glad that I am a product designer. Hello everyone, I'm Ru, and this is Designstration with Ufot Ubon. Design plus illustration equals Designstration. You get it?
This episode is brought to you by UDC. The Untitled Designers Conference is coming up this year from the 23rd of August to the 24th of August, and you don't want to miss it. The Untitled Designers Conference is one that gives designers and creatives in general an opportunity and a forum to come together to learn, share, and network with each other. So, if you're an illustrator, UI designer, brand designer, web developer, whatever creative field you're in, you don't want to miss this year's conference. That's why the Designstration podcast has partnered with UDC to give out 50% discount when any one of our esteemed listeners use our promo code to purchase tickets from their website. So just log down to their website in the link in the description below, and when you want to buy your ticket, the section for promo code, fill in the code UDCX DSP, and you get 50% discount when buying your tickets. That's not all. The Designstration podcast will bring in freebies for all our esteemed dearest listeners, and we're going to be handing you freebies on the conference day, so you don't want to miss it. So log on to UDC's website to buy your ticket. The link is in the description below.
Designstration.
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 Hello everyone, you're welcome back to the Designstration podcast. My name is Ufot Ubon and I am your host for this very podcast. Today we have with me a very exceptional product designer. If you've been around the Twitter network space, which today it's called X, you more than likely would have come across a UI design challenge that is going on, that is solving problem but infusing humor into that solution. And today we have with us an exceptional designer, the brain box behind that challenge. It's no other person than the exceptional Ru. Ru, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ufot. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Firstly, is that your name? Is Ru your name? Is that your name?
It's the short form of my name, which I do not really like to say.
Oh, I see.
You see, the thing is, okay, I would be telling like everyone who listens to this my name, which I have been withholding for.
Oh wow. No, that's fine. We can actually go with Ru. We can still go with Ru. Yeah. But how do you pronounce it? Ru.
It's Ru, like R-U. The E is not like.
Oh, I see. Ru. That's good. That's great. Tell us a bit about yourself and your journey into the field of product design.
I'm Ru, and I am a product designer. So I think that's like the basics, the parts that everyone knows. I have been designing for 3 years. It has been like a very rocky journey with ups and downs, but like I love that I have been designing for 3 years. It has been like 3 years of exceptional growth. I have worked on products like across these 3 years, and I just want to put out there that I actually love design. That's something that I think that if I was given the choice all over, I would want to do it. If I want to get a bit personal, there are a lot of things that excites me, like creating content. I really, really love creating content. I'm also like a very easygoing person. I like to think that. So Yeah, I think that sums it up.
That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I never knew you love creating content. You
Yeah, I
don't
do.
post that very often.
I do that on Instagram.
And you say, oh wow, okay, I see. I have to check that out. I was going to ask, if it wasn't product design, what is it you'd be doing? Since you mentioned you really love design.
I think first content. I would have prioritized content creation. Yeah, that would have been like my first go-to option. And then there were a lot of things I put my hand into during the COVID break and everything. I got into fashion design. I started learning how to sew and make clothes pieces. So that's also something I enjoy. I stopped because I got into tech. So I think that if I didn't do design and I didn't do tech in general, I would have also like continued on that. But another technique that I know that if I ever consider leaving design, I would want to switch to is product management. Yeah, I actually I was around people who do product management for a while, so I kind of enjoy what they do.
That's great. That's fascinating. I think tech and fashion has actually met. I think that's one thing. There's a bank in Nigeria that sort of do that, something like that. Tech and fashion meet. It's still something you can merge. You can merge and create a whole new niche for us to comply that part still.
What do you think it would be called?
Uh,
Like fashion tech. But then we have to shorten it.
Yeah, Fatech. Fatech. Fatech.
Like the name of university.
Yeah.
Fatech.
Fatech. Yeah. It could be called Fatech. Fatech. This is fashion and tech. That would be really nice to see. Your designs are very catchy. They're very humorous. And the fact that it's not just about the humor part, it's the fact that it actually solves the problem, right? It solves certain problems. And the way you infused humor into that, which would lead me to ask, what principles guides your design process and how has that evolved over time?
Okay. Okay. I think I would say the I can't call it the number one thing, but like this guides everything I do in design. Simplicity. I'm all for making things as easy as they should be. Whenever I'm involved in anything, whenever I'm moving on the road, even if like I'm in transit and I'm looking out of my window, whatever it is that I'm looking at, I always ask myself, why are you doing it this way when it can be like done in this way that's easier? Okay, yeah, something I also like put into consideration is like, okay, if we have an easy way to do it and a hard way to do it, which one yields like more results or which one is more effective? So as long as both of them would yield the same amount of result, like very good result, why would we want people to do it the hard way? So simplicity like is something that I always try to include in whatever project I'm working on. I'm all for let this be very easy for users. Also aesthetics. I think I love design. I love content. I love like there are a lot of things that I love that makes me always want my design to be aesthetically pleasing. But then from your question, how has it evolved over time? I think I can say that one thing that my experience has made me include in my design a lot is iteration. At first, like during the first 6 months to 1 year of my career, it would have seemed like a lot of work or like extra work to like want to get what people are finding hard to do from what you have designed and make changes to it. But at this point in my career or in my growth as a designer, I cannot value iteration. It is like so important to take your products to the users, the people you know that would use your product on an end-to-end basis, day-to-day basis, and ask them, how would you use this? Do you find it easy to do this thing? If you want to do this, where would you go to? And like take all of this feedback you get from users and try as much as possible to make your design better. I feel that in as much as okay, yeah, you want to also do research, there is no harm in putting your design out. It could be like post launch testing, it could be pre-launch testing, but what I know I'm emphasizing on is testing. Your design can be out there, your products can be out there, people are using it, but don't just forget it. Don't say, yeah, I've put out a product and people should use it and that's the end. You need to go back. What are the problems you have been encountering, like using these products, and then try to make it better. So iteration, research, that's it for me.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I love the fact that you actually mentioned the importance. You didn't just talk about whole iteration, you actually went into every nitty-gritty that evolves around it, right? Talking to the users, the target audience, conversing with them, simplicity, research, take the product to them, let them test it, get feedback. And I mean, these are the core principles of design. These are the fundamentals of design. And that's brilliant to infuse that in your project. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Your ongoing UI design challenge, it's catchy. It's really catchy. That's actually how I came to know about the amazing Rue. And what was the inspiration behind that challenge? What inspired you to start?
Okay. This has been like my go-to answer. And I always like try to keep it very simple, but it's very random. But someone sent me, not really someone, my brother sent me a post about a YouTuber who talked about like how consistency like impacted his growth, his personal growth, his career. What he does is make videos. He's like a YouTuber. That's what he does. But then he talked about how 2023 was his obsession year. And like he said, you know what, this is the year that's going to like be my turnaround in my career. And he like consistently posted every single day. He said he was going to post, he posted. And like his name was just on everyone's lips, like, oh, have you seen this guy's post today? Have you seen his post today? And I looked at it and I was like, the sentence, this is my obsession year, actually like stood out to me. And that was in the first week of January. I was like, why don't I actually do something that I would be very consistent and that's going to impact my career and personal growth? And so I went back to my brother and we were like, okay, what should we or what can we do that I would post every day? At first, I didn't even think, oh, I could post weekly or I could post like something every month. What just came into my head was like daily posting because of the guy that said, oh, he posted every day. So I didn't even want to downplay myself or say, oh, I won't have time or this. I just said, you know, what can I post daily? And then I said, I've always wanted to do a challenge where I post maybe models for the first month, cards for the second month, like just different design components.
Yeah.
So like just do different designs of them every month. But I felt that this could actually be a problem later on if my workload increases. And then talking to my brother, he suggested, why don't you just put out a satirical design every day? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, you know what, just he actually gave me the child deck boy, you other extra spoon idea. And that was around the time when the lady, I've forgotten her name, said someone brought extra spoon for her husband, stuff like that. So he was like, what if the lady wanted to get extra spoon and they asked her, why do you? Like when I did that one and I saw how people reacted to it, I was really happy. I was like, so there are actually people who would welcome this idea. And then that was how it was like from that day till today, until tomorrow, until next tomorrow. It's just every day saying there are people who are waiting for me. There are people who would say, I haven't seen Rose post today. And that's just what keeps me going, like saying, oh, I have to do this design today and I have to do it like every single day after that. So it was not really like the humor part was not like the starting. The starting was just me wanting to put out a design every day.
Wow. That's great. That's really great. That's really great to hear. And of course, I know you've had that thing. Did you have a little bit of trepidation when starting out? Maybe having this fear of what if I run out of ideas? Things like that. Did you feel that? Yeah. How did you handle it?
I think first of all, when I made the post about me starting this challenge, I there's something that actually makes me happy anytime I come across that post, because I put a sentence there that said, if I miss a day, I'm going to do to the next day. And up until today, I haven't missed a day.
Wow, that's great.
I knew that the ideas were like not going to be easy to get, but I spoke on a Twitter space one time, and like what I was emphasizing on was friendship, cliques, like just community in the design space. Yeah. So there are a lot of people that I am not like friends with, but we have each other's backs when it comes to our career, our design career. I could see them on the road and pass and not know they're the ones, because we haven't seen each other before, but we actually know that if we have a problem with design, even if it's auto layout or it's like a random like design post, we can always reach out to each other. So those people have been the ones helping me, because when I started, I had like a long list of ideas, and then after a while I found out that maybe I wanted to do this app, but this, and then I found out that a competitor does this, so that's not exactly like something that's new. So I always was striking out ideas like, oh, I'm not going to do this, and then it got to the point where I ran out of ideas, and then I had to start reaching out to friends. I was like, yo, what app do you use? Like, how many apps did you use today? And they'll tell me, oh, my regular social media app and this, and I'm like, what did you like want in those apps that like that you just felt like, if only this was here, this would have been easier. And you know that, oh, maybe that's like the good thing about it. I always tell them, I don't care if it's something that this company would never implement, or something that sounds crazy, because that's what I want, crazy ideas. But as long as you know that you encounter these problems today and this is how it could have been better, then just do not hesitate to enter into my DM and just send it to me. Like, just tell me, oh, Ru, and like, they have been a lot of help. They have never disappointed. Like, there's no day where I don't have a designer. I just go in someone's DM and I'm like, yo, what's up? And they're like, oh, Ru, what about this? This boy, you can do this. And I'm like, thank you so much. So
that's great.
I have run out of ideas, but there are always people.
That's great. That's great. That's so great. That's so great. Running out of ideas and not knowing what to do in this kind of scenario can be a lot of pressure. It can have its own tension. And I know creative block is something that every creative, would face at some point in time, right, along the journey. But specifically with what you're doing, have you experienced a creative block, like a roadblock before? Not just, oh, I'm running out of idea, but there's no enthusiasm to actually open Figma and do these things. Have you experienced that before?
I think definitely, without a doubt, there are days where I have an idea.
Yeah.
For example, whenever I do something about Sporty Bets, I don't use the app. I had to create an account so I can like go through their flow.
Yeah.
And there are times when I want to do something that involves a modal, and I'm looking through Mobinos, and I'm like, I want to see what their modal looks like, because this would be best implemented as a modal. So I always have to sometimes create accounts with these products and go through them. And then when I wanted to like do the first one for Sporty Bets, and I went through like their app, I just wasn't understanding anything. I was just seeing a lot of numbers, and I know that there was a time where I was going through betting apps, but at this point where I wanted to do something, I just wasn't seeing anything, and I gave up on the idea. The very first Sporty Bets post I made, it came late, because I wanted to start, and then I just did not know how to like show the idea I wanted to do. I was like, would Sporty Bet put this as a modal? Is this important for them to put as a modal or as a PO or just a line of text? So there are days like that, a lot. I think 40% of the time I'm always like, how would this company implement this in their design? If this company wanted to implement this idea I have, where would they put it? So every single time I want to work on like a post for the next day, I'm always like, where would this company put it? And if I don't have an answer to that at that point, I'm just going to skip like till I'll be like, okay, you go forward and then let me do
Yeah,
something
do
else. So
something
yeah,
else.
but the good thing is like, I think it's still friends. It is still friends
Yeah.
because I know it sounds
Yeah.
funny, but with the Spotty Bet, when I had to reach out to a friend, I was like, "You use Spotty Bet, right?" It was like, "Yes." And then I was like, "That's good."
Yeah.
And so I said, asking like, "Okay, what is this? How would this?" And so it still boils down to like friends, community. I
Yeah.
always have people that I reach out and I'm like, okay, because I think I have done for a very good number of like fintech apps, but I do not use all of these fintech app on a daily basis. So I always reach out to people. Oh, you use this app? Okay, yeah. Then how can this happen? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's it for me.
That's great. That's great. Reaching out to folks. It's beautiful because being on the other side of the screen and seeing your designs, I would have actually guessed that you probably use all these apps that you've been working on so far. That's how you would know how to intuitively, create humorous design that still solves problem. I would have actually guessed that
Nah,
you use all these apps.
I don't use
So it's
Tinder. So I've done like two Tinder posts.
Okay, that's great. That's great. That's remarkably great. I love it. Can you walk us
Thank you.
through your creative process when you're starting a new UI project? What's the creative process like?
All right. Okay. To be very honest, like
Yeah.
whenever I get a project I'm about to start, like the very first thing I do is like, oh Chim, like that deep breath, like do you get like I need to get
Yeah.
this. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do this. And
Okay,
then
let's do this.
always start with like paper and pen next to my laptop. So the very first thing is research. But then this depends on the product or the project I'm working on. So there are some projects where the project manager or the product manager rather has already like gotten a document for me that contains like all the information I would need to analyze to do stuff. There before I came in, they would have already done their research and I won't need to do it. But on products where I need to do research, the very first thing that I like to do is talking to users. But if at that point in time, we're finding it hard to get people to talk to, it's not something that I block out. I just move to do computer analysis or market research while still looking for people who we can talk to that are going to give us insights into what we want to do. After I'm done with my research, I go back to that same paper and pen and my laptop because I think writing on a paper and pen is easier for me. It's just, it's kind of like I'm not very good at typing on my laptop. So you know how ideas are coming and you're looking for A on the keyboard, like where's this A?
Yeah.
It's could get frustrating.
Yeah.
I prefer to use paper and pen, and I'm just there saying, okay, yeah, this and this. So this, like just writing on my book, and then after writing, I can now like do my proper analysis, my proper flow charts, my proper like from my book into the laptop. And then after that, that's when I go back to my employers, if I can call them that. I love iteration, but in as much as I do, I always try to like reduce the number of times I'm like revisiting my design. So instead of going straight to Figma, doing something, I always go back to them and tell them this is what we have. This is like feedback we have gotten. Does this align with like the initial ideas you had for your products? You wanted people to be able to buy fruits on your app, but people are telling you that they do not buy just fruits. They always buy fruits with a fruit juice. Does this align with your initial idea? Do you want us to add fruits juice to this, or do you still feel like no, you're going to just put fruits out there even after people have said? So if I find out that okay, maybe 7 out of 10 people say they never buy fruits alone, they always buy fruits with like a fruit juice, and the remaining people say, oh yeah, I buy fruits alone, but then when I ask how often do you buy fruits, they buy fruits once in 6 months, while the other people buy fruits like every day but with fruit juice. And then I go back to my stakeholder because this is information that I have to let them know. You get this is what people are saying, this is how you can make these products better and also like make more money because you're also going to be selling the fruit juice. So at that point in time, whatever information or whatever feedback I get from the stakeholders, that's also going to inform my design process. Okay. And then there's a lot of writing, a lot of drawing, a lot of sketching on Figma, talking to the stakeholders because I'm done talking to users. And after that, I moved to Figma. Figma is my primary design tool. I do like 90% of my designs on Figma. So from wireframes, I start, and I always I always like skipping to very high fidelity wireframes. Like the only thing that would not be there is like color and maybe images and but
Yeah.
I always like to everything the way that the customer or this stakeholder rather would see it, but like just without the whole aesthetics, if I can call it that. So like the layout, the hierarchy, now everything is going to be there. And then I go back to them and I say, okay, how do you like this? And then we have like a brainstorming session. Okay, I think that this works. I think that this doesn't work. And I think one thing I always like to do is ask, okay, why do you think this doesn't work? Let me know if it's something that is a you problem or something that is a problem you've encountered before and you know why that is not going to work. So after that, a lot of deliberation. Then I go back to Figma and finish with my hi-fi designs. And then after that, the sweet part for me, going back to my users, it's always nice when I speak to a group of users like before design. And then after my design, I go back to them. Okay, this stuff we talked about, or the project I wanted to work on. Yeah, it's always nice because I feel like they also share in the joy of like seeing a finished product.
Yeah.
They also get this very, very little joy from like saying, oh, I contributed to this.
Exactly.
And that's something I always want to give back to them, like saying, oh, you helped us do this. So how do you think that we implemented your this design based on your concerns or your feedback? Is there anything you pointed out to us before, any problem you have that has not been addressed in this design? So that's always like a very good part for me. And after that, it's back to Figma and making those changes. And then after that, it's now the hula baloo with developers. Like straight to handoff here to developers. But I think that I've always had like very good relationship working with developers. Very good.
Oh, that's good.
Very, very
That's
good.
good.
I've never had to hold anybody's shirt to say,
Yeah.
what did you do? This is what I did. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So
that's great.
that's
I mean,
it for me.
I've had product designers on here. I think that was Kems. I don't know if you know Kems Design and Jojo.
I don't know.
Yeah, who they were actually dragging developers on this podcast, and I actually need to look out for developers also to hear their own side of the story on working with designers. But I really love the fact that your designs are from the process you've actually defined for us. Something that remained constant that always pops up every now and then is you conversing with the users. I love that. Really, it's giving design for human, because that's really what it's all about, right? Where we have to speak the language of the users. And I love the fact that it always comes back to also let's still talk to the users, right? Let's give them that let's give them the accolades of you helped us design this. Truly, I can relate to the joy that a user would feel like I actually helped them build that. I contributed. They talked to me and they did that. And now we have this. That's beautiful. I really love that. It's truly because this process that you've just clearly defined for us is something that can help the product being marketed by the users on their own. It literally can it literally can market itself within that space. And that's a very beautiful, remarkable one. I appreciate that. Is there any product or project or design, not product, a project or design that has inspired you over the years?
I mean, because it's right in front of me, I'm just going to call my my favorite hardware. I think I'll call it that. But Apple really does wonders for me. If there's one thing that I really, really like about Apple, it's the interconnectivity. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I was using an iOS phone with a Windows laptop, and it just starting from when you're trying to, I don't know if you have used like an Apple device with a a Windows laptop and you're trying to like turn on hotspots,
Oh yes.
and it just
Oh yes, I have. Oh
like
yes.
that was always a problem for me, and I was always blaming it on the phone. I was like, oh, why is this phone always disconnected? But then when I switched to a MacBook, and like, do you know how thrilled I was when I found out that I could copy on my phone
and
then
paste on your laptop.
Things like just always. I always, whenever it happens, I always go like to the next person or whoever is close to me, and I'm like, how do people think of this? Like, who stayed and said, you know what, these are both Apple devices. Why should you copy on this phone and then like paste it in the chat and then open the chat here? Because that was how I used to copy things before. Paste it in my Slack on my phone, open it on my Slack on my laptop, and just a very long process. But like seeing how easy this was, like just copying here, pasting here. The fact that they always try to make, I mean, I get that it's a little bit selfish because it's like always Apple to Apple. But I mean, it's their product and they have to make money. So I can't force them on that. But I can't preach it enough how easy, how fast, how seamless it is to work with Apple products. And I can't say that I have tried doing this on like maybe a Microsoft one with a Microsoft laptop or like every other one, but this is me saying that Apple is doing a very good job with their devices being linked and connected.
The features they're releasing every now and then. I know they have a coming event this year again. At the time of this recording, I know Apple has an event in the future. I think it's June. We just don't know what to expect yet. But I'm sure there's something that would be like, wow, just wow. Apple is really there. Exactly. Apple is really that product, to be honest. Yeah, I'll give it to Apple. I love Apple device. I use Apple device as well. I love it as well. It's that product. I know you've talked about something like this, especially when you were giving your introduction, but I'm still going to ask, do you feel like you chose the right career path as a designer?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like I could do any other thing that I've wanted to do, but at this point in time, at this stage in my career, I feel like, I always say I'm really glad I got into design. I'm really happy that I was introduced into design when I was like a lot of things going on in my career. I'm always like, thank God I got into design. And then the fact that I have to work on a product and know that someone is like somewhere using it and saying, thank God that there's an app to do this, or thank God there's a website to do this. It just makes me feel really happy. I'm actually really glad that I am a product designer.
That's great. Let me ask a different question here. Have you ever used an app, a well-programmed app that actually has humor like you do for this thing? Have you seen an app that it's full-blown wireframe, wire flow system, has the level of humor you not necessarily, but has humor in it like you always design?
Yeah. One I can point out is, I don't know if this shows on my web, like on my Spotify on my phone, but I use Spotify on my laptop, and there's this thing where like I can never get pissed when I'm listening to a song and I'm like, I didn't hear what this person said, let me go check the lyrics. There's this stuff Spotify does where they're like, haha, you cut us, we are still getting the lyrics for this.
Oh wow,
that's like cool. Really nice. I think it rotates like around 5. They have the one where they're like, you may have to guess the lyrics for this one by yourself. Like, they do not have the lyrics for this music, for this song, and that's like a flaw or like a defect on their part, because I want to see the lyrics. But then the way they are passing the message is just, what do you mean I'll have to guess the lyrics for the song by myself? You get it's really fun. And I just like, actually, Seth, let me go and guess it. Like, I'll just play the song back and start saying, mumbling, whatever. So, yeah, Spotify actually does it. That's like one I know I have at the back of my hand.
That's great.
I would have to think to know another one, but yeah, Spotify is really, really hilarious.
That's great. I like Spotify as well.
Designstration.
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 Designstration.